In 2020, when COVID came about and lockdowns happened, choirs were forced to go online. Me and producer Holly Hunter came together and constructed this project, COVID Song Cycle, in which we would invite choirs to collaborate on new songs based on their experiences during and around COVID. Now, one thing led to another, and by the time the project landed, we lived in a world where people could come together and sing again. So the project evolved into an opportunity post-COVID for these 4 different choirs to explore what singing meant to them in a not quite post-COVID world, but coming back together as communities. As part of the project, we invited Contact Theatre to be involved, who are co-producers to the project, and they found us 4 of their fantastic young writers who may have worked with music before, but hadn't explicitly worked in co-creative settings with choirs. We looked at each writer's work and how they work, their processes and their experience of working with music before, and we used that to think about how we could partner each writer with each choir.
My name's Ella Otomewo and I'm an artist, a poet and a performer.
My name is Mandla. I am a writer and performer. I like to play with words in every different way that I can.
My name is Saf, S2E. I'm a poet and rapper.
My name is Princess Arinola, aka P-Bites. I'm a multi-award winning poet, a musician and filmmaker.
But this is a totally new way of thinking about writing, like really thinking about the sound of words, a melody, which is slightly connected to spoken word because it is about the sound of it, but kind of on another level with the music.
The writing music is something that's completely new to me and very exciting because, I am really interested in how music and poetry can work together and like the different textures and stuff that can be used.
The aspect of like writing something and giving it away, and I'm very excited about that, what can happen when you're like not possessive over a text and you just see what other people can add to it. That really excites me because I usually really like the outcome, and people always do things that you're not expecting or choices you wouldn't have made, but they actually sometimes work better for the text. So I'm really excited about that.
For me personally, I think it's how lyrics are built. I think this is a completely brand new form of lyricism that I've never touched on. As a rapper, it's always just, it's a very structured 16 bars, hook, 16 bars. And poetry is very different to that. It's just a poem. So I think that would be the part I'm most excited to learn about.
COVID Song Cycle is an innovative way of working. Co-creating in choir settings does happen. There's lots of organisations who have worked in this way before, but bringing writers, a composer like myself who works in these settings, and choirs together, and 4 very, very different choirs across the north of England, is something that doesn't happen very often. And we've gone into it with the question, well, if we set up these opportunities for choirs and writers to work together, what happens? In some of our first workshops, we started creating sound worlds without knowing what the text of this piece was going to be yet. So we worked with the choir to create a cloud of sound that we slowly kind of chipped away at as if it was a big block of marble trying to create a statue. And that statue was, in the case of music, some chords. And this, for some of those choirs, provided a really good starting point of going, right, how do we use this harmony, whether it's vocal harmony or stuff on the piano. How do we take that and turn that into a song? Lovely. All sopranos, add you in. Off you go. Each poet took a different starting point and used different questions or provocations in that first workshop. Sometimes it was much more focused on feelings and emotions and how do they feel coming back to choir? How do they feel about this community that they're part of, especially having been detached from it for so long because of COVID?
I think it was just really good for us as a choir just to bond, to reflect and to remember a time that was quite difficult for us during COVID. It was nice to hear and bring up all those emotions and use singing, which we love doing, and song to get our feelings out in that way and really think about what was going on through our minds at that time, because it seems so near but so far away at the same time.
Names these things and pick one that you'd like to write about. So that could be a person, an act of kindness, a song, a time of change or transition.
We've got one voice, which we think is good, and escape.
Because different poets worked in different ways, the subsequent workshops were a little bit different depending on how long the workshop was, how the poets and writers wanted to work. Some poets came with a kind of draft copy of a full poem to work with that we kind of perhaps edited and worked with. Some didn't come with much material at all for the second workshop and continued that writing process. But in those second workshops, melodies and harmonies started to form.
Texting each other, are you safe? Are you home? Thanks for letting me know. The further we travelled, the closer we came. Within the smile of strangers, we saw God's face.
Watching the world through windows, shines like a shadow, like twilight indigo, hint of a star in the iris, from screens in iPhone, texting each other, are you safe, are you home?
My little heart is...
We specifically chose 4 different choirs that worked in very different ways. Some worked by ear, some worked from sheet music. And this had a huge influence on the way the material, especially the musical material, was generated. Some groups were really confident improvising and creating material around a set of chords or accompaniments, whilst other choirs were used to having kind of the dots, as we say, in front of them and reading off it. So me as composer and the writers, we had to think creatively about how to maybe push people out of their comfort zone slightly. That's our job as creatives, but also appreciate the way that these choirs work and craft something with them that is true to who they are.
I mean, the first iteration, like the first A4 sheet that we got, Mike was there when we went through it, and like, the tenor and bass part wasn't particularly exciting, and so we asked, could we do X and Y, and then in the final thing, it was just awesome because everything that we really wanted to put in was there, and it's brilliant.
That works because it's already got the clashy chords. It would make sense to kind of have a more diluted meaning so that it can be adapted in different ways.
It's incredibly clashy, and it's a kind of mix of both, but it's sectional. So the one part of it is incredibly catchy. The other part isn't as much, and it kind of swaps between that.
That's really interesting for my ears as well. Think about how we keep them really sectioned. Yeah, really interesting observation. Thank you.
But I think it was just amazing. And then when we got our proper copies of the sheet music, I was so excited. And then when we finished, Charlie was like taken aback, and I was like, no, I want to keep mine. And I've kept it because I think it's just so amazing to have. Like, oh, I wrote those words, that was me. I did that with my group, so it's just really exciting to have.
Can't give me too much. Try give me too much. Take my go.
A breakthrough that we felt was when they could really see their own ideas really tangibly in the material that was finally produced. It was really clear where an idea that had been offered in the group sessions was so accurately portrayed in the final version that was it, so it didn't feel at all sort of tokenistic. It really felt like the song was theirs and they had created, they had came up with the ideas that were in the final products. They could really directly feel ownership over what they had created and feel that it was theirs.
Can we just try saying those words? Thanks. Can you first of all just find a rhythm for thanks for letting me know?
I really like the outcome. I really like our final song. It's really reflective of our process and the discussions we had throughout the process. That we shared what we wanted to share through the piece, but that we didn't feel like we had to sort of bare our souls to anyone in order to get to where we got to. And I think that's really important, right, is that we waded through quite a lot of knotty discussions in order to produce something that we want to present to the world. And I think that's really special. I think we got to choose exactly how we represented ourselves, even down to like the music video.
Children lining up building blocks, sky high, atop a sinking sand.
And of course, once these songs were crafted, we handed them over to the wonderful musical directors who run each of these choirs. In that final session, it was all over to them. They took those songs, they taught them to their choirs, they worked with them, and knowing their choirs so well, sometimes made tweaks, adjustments, suggestions. The collaboration still kept on going once everything was fixed. One thing I'm always amazed by, even though I've done kind of similar projects before, is the power of ownership within these communities. Some of our participants, our singers, have been singing for 50 years, yet have never had the opportunity to collaborate on a song in this way before. And you can see that in the performances. You can see people singing in a way, when it's their own words, their own experiences, singing in a way that's truly connected and feels truly them.
There's been a marked change, that I think, in the confidence of singers and of people to speak up and have their voices heard. It was very much our theme was about having your voice heard. So that, I think, has become part of what Enquire now is. It's much more mobile, it's much more outgoing.
It's getting past that barrier of silliness, if you know what I mean. It's like, if first it doesn't quite seem real, it doesn't quite seem like what you're used to at all, obviously. But once you sort of got past that and you think, oh yes, we're doing something very different, it's very satisfying.
Everybody participated, even those that thought that they wouldn't like it or they'd be too shy or they wouldn't speak, all did. So it was very inclusive.
It's definitely like inspired me to do more things like this, because especially I'm doing GCSE music and we have to sort of compose music, and this has definitely helped me do some vocal composing.
It was a great experience and I really enjoyed it. I think the whole choir really, really enjoyed it. I think the song's sort of a little bit like an airworm in our ears at the moment. And I don't think they'll forget the experience.
I think now, having just listened to the recording of the whole thing, it made me feel really emotional. I got quite tearful, just to think that that's representing us and what we've tried to do, and we did it.
Listen to what the people say, listen to the children calling. To be happy, I wasted a minute of your life, all out of ideas, I will work on it. So breathe. Take my hand. Piece by piece, peel my heart from my sleeve. Put me in your palms, so I'm never lonely. I'm collecting each gap as each moment grows me. I'm collecting each gap as each moment grows me. I'm so young and running alive. Darkness seems so constant, stays and goes through the night. By a dark slave island when the skyline sets on fire, looking for sun behind clouds. In each other, are you safe? Are you home? Almost. I'll let you know. The further we traveled, the closer we came. Within a stranger's smile, we saw God's face. Angels sing secrets that end on high notes. Legato and staccato, waves of piano. It's slow-mo, watching the world through
Where do you find the words you never thought would exist?
What is creation if not destruction? What is creation? What is creation if not destruction? What is creation? What is creation if not destruction? What is creation? What is creation if not destruction? What is creation? What is creation if not destruction?
A pile of
What is
beautifully misplaced
creation?
namesakes.
What is
Potential could have
creation
been
if
made.
not destruction? What
Burned
is
at the
creation?
stake into euphoric
What is
embers.
creation if not
Dancing
destruction?
into
What is
pleasures
creation?
unknown.
What is creation if not destruction? What is creation? What is creation if not destruction? What is
Floating
creation? What is creation if not destruction? What is creation? What is creation if not destruction? What is creation?
What is creation if not destruction? What is creation? What is creation if not destruction? What is creation? What is creation?
In glimpses of a gargantuan smile, a dysphoric cadence dripping with hope. In memoirs of mutilated mealtimes and a joy root-bound to the liminal space. Where nothingness
becomes
everything.
What is creation if not destruction? What is creation?
What is creation if not destruction? What is creation?
What is creation?
What is creation if not destruction? What is creation?
How many different versions of the same you has the world seen over each of the days you lived? All flesh fluidly reassembles itself, unseen to the human eye. Our bodies ripple with boundless potential.
What is creation?
In slow-mo, watching the world through windows. Insight shines on our shadows, that twilight indigo. The glint of a star in the iris, on pings on iPhones. Texting each other, are you safe, are you home? Thanks for letting me know.